Let's get to the other big discussion this week, obviously coming out of the game. And that, of course, is Jake Moody and the kicker and the kicking situation. Jake Moody had his worst game as a professional on Sunday. He missed from 54. He missed from 41 to end the game. And the torches and pitchforks were out. People wanted Robbie Gould on speed dial. Apparently, people forgot that Robbie Gould made 84% of his kicks last year. That's fine. What are you going to do when Robbie Gould misses? That would be my question. And by the way, if Robbie Gould is so good, how come no other team in the league wanted Robbie Gould either? He's on his couch. He's available for a reason. I am not on board the Jake Moody missed a kick, so we have to cut Jake Moody train.
Sure. That's not a question, but I'll talk. The thing about this, I don't know if Robbie Gould is the answer, but he's looming large over Jake Moody, and you can see it all over Jake Moody's face. It's one thing to replace Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. That's not a tall task. I think any quarterback thinks he could do it. Brock Purdy probably thinks it's the easiest thing in the world. Brock Purdy knows right now, probably knew it last year, I'm better than that guy. And he is. Like, Jake Moody is not in that position. Jake Moody can't know that he's better than Robbie Gould. Like, Robbie Gould is the 9th most accurate kicker of all time. Maybe he's washed, but you're replacing a potential Hall of Famer who was not a product of his scheme or supporting cast. Like, he's on his own. It's just him kicking a ball. Now it's you kicking the ball, and you might be better than him. You might have a stronger leg, whatever. But like, I think the enormity of the situation, the pressure to replace him on this team and be as good or better than him right now is messing with him, man. Messing with him mentally. I think he's got a mental, his issue isn't his physical ability to kick a football. I think he's just got the weight of the world on his shoulders right now, and it's the Robbie Gould effect. Replacing him is hard for a kicker. I think, isn't Robbie Gould his mentor? And doesn't he really look up to Robbie Gould? I'm just saying.
They did have some communication, I believe, right? Either before he was drafted or right after he was drafted. Maybe he's going to call kickers Robbie again and get some advice. I don't know. I agree with you.
Yeah, Robbie's going to be like, hey, clear out your locker, baby. I'm coming back.
The advice is to have your locker cleared out before I arrive.
Yeah.
The battle with all kickers is mental. I really think the kickers that fail, I don't think it's a physical issue. I don't think it's because they're just not able to do the job physically. It's because it's a mental thing. You gotta stuff that if you're Jake Moody. Forget it. Never happened. If he made the kick, you have to stuff it, right? Like, you just have to shelve it and move on to the next one. And hopefully he can. The Niners went out of their way to tell us when he was drafted how mentally strong and mentally tough he is.
Can we go back and talk about that for a second? And what did they say? They said that they put him under a really strenuous test.
Yes.
In their workout, right?
They talked about all the weird stuff they did.
They were like, hey, okay, the game's on the line right now. Like, simulated pressure. Mm-hmm. You can't simulate pressure. They really told themselves that they could create those conditions in a workout and that he passed the test. No. This is the test. And I don't think they fully understood the psychological burden they were putting on this 23-year-old. It's not just that we're the best team in the league and we need to win the Super Bowl because we've kind of missed we've missed some opportunities. It's not just that. It's that you have to replace Robbie Gould in the process. He's never missed a kick in the playoffs. So essentially, at some point, you got to be perfect. And if we lose a game where you miss a kick, dude, I just don't think they understood how much dizzying pressure they put on this kid. And I don't know that any 23-year-old kicker straight out of college can cope with that. Robbie Gould can. Robbie Gould, I mean, we saw it for the last 7 years. Like, he loves kicking a football. He's immune to the pressure in ways we haven't seen from many kickers ever. Yeah. He's at his best in big moments, if we're being honest.
I mean,
so, it was tough replacement.
He's
not perfect,
for sure. I want to get to something that Levin Black pointed out, because I thought this was interesting. You talked about, like, you can't simulate the pressure of being in a game with the game on the line. The Niners may have done everything you could possibly do to try and test Jake Moody, but it's not the same as the actual test you face when you're in the games. Pulling this up, what do you notice about these? Are Jake Moody's stats in college as a field goal kicker. Let me bring your attention to, at home, Jake Moody was 90% on field goals. Very good. On the road, in his college career, Jake Moody's percentage went all the way down to 67.9%. It's generally
so weird.
Tougher to kick on the road than it is at home, right? Tougher environment, right? More
pressure.
More mental difficulty. I'm not saying Jake Moody can't overcome it. I'm just saying The
Look at
closer
the numbers.
than what the 49ers put him through is him actually performing in games on the road in college. And he was not a very good kicker on the road in college. He wasn't.
How did you find this? How did you find this?
I don't know. Levin Black is,
11. Hey, shout out 11. That's amazing, man.
On the kicker.
I'd like that's to me because what we're talking about with Moody is his mental strength at this point. I think. I mean, you missed a 41-yarder with a game on the line. I think we're talking about mental strength and confidence, and this speaks to it. So I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I can't say, but we see his face on the sideline. We see his body language. We see his results. Maybe if he were on the Cardinals, he'd be free and easy, having a great time, kicking the hell out of the ball. But here, he looks like he'd rather be doing anything else.
So I will be
miserable.
Glued in on Monday. Every extra point, I'm going to be like I was all year, leaning forward. Like, look, I had just gotten to the point where I was like, all right, you know what? The preseason was a blip. Like, I don't have to freak out about extra points. Like, he's good. We're past that part. And then he misses a couple kicks Sunday in Cleveland in poor conditions. And now I'm a little nervous again. So we'll see how he responds on Monday night. It's going to be a big game for him. Josh Wyatt says, my friend is a Browns fan. He was convinced the Browns would blow that game, and honestly, they did. The pick was inexcusable. Poor clock management gave up the game-winning drive. The Browns didn't win. They self-destructed. Well, no, they did win. They won the game. But I will say, I thought that Kyle mismanaged there was a possession where the Niners had the ball back and a 1-point lead, and there was about 3 minutes to go. And Kyle was asked about this. He didn't run the ball at all in that possession, and he tried to me, talk out of both sides of his mouth. He tried to say, well, we had an intentional grounding on the first play, so that put us behind the 8 ball, but then also said, but I'm not worried about the clock there. And it was like, well, which is it? Did you not run because you were behind the 8 ball, or did you not run because you were not worried about the clock? If the Browns hadn't passed inexplicably when they got into the red zone and kicked the go-ahead field goal, the Niners would have run out of time or had very, very little time to get down the field. So I actually think that the Niners kind of got bailed out by the Browns a little bit at the end.
Well, to Joshua's point, I do feel like the Niners self-destructed in this game. From the beginning, the beginning of the self-destruction was the fight. You could tell. Like, oh, okay, here we go. You are not going to have your best effort today, huh? And it's just from beginning to end. From beginning to end, and the way, like, them ending with a second missed field goal on the day was perfectly fitting. I think they deserved it, frankly. They did not deserve to win that game, and they should have won it. But they played like pigs, if you want to be honest. They played like pigs. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be polite, but you know what I mean? Like, they just weren't prepared, didn't take it seriously, disrespectful to the Browns, and got smacked. So I think they kind of deserve to lose the way they lost. And maybe they'll go 16-1 and win the Super Bowl and look back at this and be like, you know what? That one loss was on us. We were not serious. They were not serious about that game. Serious is the word I want to use. And we were serious the first 5 games. We were serious after that. I don't know what happened. We were feeling ourselves a little too much after the Dallas game. And we needed to get humbled so that we could be the best version of ourselves the rest of the way. That's what should be the fallout of this game. But Kyle Shanahan hasn't really had, or this team hasn't really had that humbling moment yet. They're very much like, I don't care, flushing it. We're the best. Curious to see how they respond.
Monday is going to be, if they may have been feeling themselves going into the Browns game, but Monday better be, I don't care if McCaffrey's out there or not. It better be all hands on deck. Let's show the world that we are the team you thought we were, the team we thought we were before the Browns game. And hopefully they will.